inches.
Fast am I. Good afternoon. Welcome along to Manx Radio's Mannin Line. Happy hump day and all that. It's Thursday, the 11th of March. A beautiful day across the island. Looking out over Douglas Bay here today. Bright sunshine. Although I'm afraid looking out to the west there are some grey clouds looming. But, we'll take the sunshine when we get it, right? What would you like to talk about today? It's an open line through until 1 o'clock. Alex sitting in for Andy once again for these couple of weeks. Any thoughts? Yesterday we were talking about the value of democracy. Do you think that our highest court in the land, Tynwald, has lost its power? Or do you firmly believe in the power of your vote? Also, we heard from Anne Corlett, who's the political member responsible for attracting new residents to the Isle of Man, admitting that government might not be targeting the right people. Okay, so that target that this administration very early on said of trying to attract 100,000 people, well, not attracting 100,000 people, raising the population to 100,000 people, so attracting effectively another circa 15,000 people to the island, that seems to have gone very quiet. Okay, it's very much been distanced from that aim now, hasn't it? Because lots of people have been questioning about the types of people we want to attract to the island, and apparently we might not be targeting the right people. Do you have an opinion on that? If so, please do give me a call, 66 13 68. It'd be lovely to have some new callers on the programme. And if you can't call, you can, of course, text 166 177 or WhatsApp on the same number. And we'll do our very best to read your messages out. However, phone calls normally do take priority. What else is in the news? Well, it seems we're moving towards another instalment of bus strike action. Okay, and this couldn't come at a worse time in terms of, we know full well how disruptive bus strike action is, but also in the capital trying to raise the number of people travelling by car when a major arterial route is completely shut. I don't know how you feel about it. I got caught in the traffic again this morning. The traffic on the roads is quite substantial. Do we want to add to it? What's the way out? Well, we're going to hear more about that. Do you have an opinion on it? Please do get in touch, 66 13 68. And when it comes to the price of fuel, are you worried? Okay, with what's going on in the Middle East, we noticed as soon as Trump turned round and said that he thought the war was nearly over, the prices dipped a bit, but they're still nowhere near what they were. And the Isle of Man government has underlined safeguards which are in place to protect consumers due to the threat of rising fuel prices. Once again, this is due to this situation in the Middle East as a result of the US-Israel war with Iran. Although the oil price per barrel, it's fallen back from its recent high of about $120, it's still described as significantly higher than it was before the war started. Are you worried about the price at the pump? Or the one thing we discussed the other day was when it came to the price of heating oil. Yeah, because we all talk about the price at the pump, and that's the most obvious thing, because the Isle of Man government, whilst there's no statutory requirement for fuel retailers to give advance notice or warnings, that they do actually... retailers must adhere to the Isle of Man price marking order. You might have heard this in the news. It means clearly displaying prices, making sure they are unambiguous, easily identifiable, and clearly legible at the point of sale. So, it's great for petrol stations with the big signs outside. When it comes to your heating oil, can you tell me how much you pay per litre for your heating oil off the top of your head? No. And how closely do you monitor your budgets when it's a case of that actually we won't have the heating on for this amount of time per day, we'll put jumpers on instead, or we won't use hot water if you're trying to cut down? Can you really track how much you're spending on your heating oil and your gas and things like that? The Office of Fair Trading does monitor fuel prices in the Isle of Man and publishes a comparison with retail prices in the UK. But I think generally we've always thought that the Isle of Man, you pay a little bit more for your fuel, don't you? Because it's got to cross that bit of water. Are you one of the people who goes to that infamous Asda on the Lancaster bypass before as soon as you get off the boat? you go into the Asda where there's nice cheap petrol. Yeah, you wouldn't be the only one. Thank you to Texter, what's this? Texter 762, who says, Alex, when it comes to the sort of people that government want to attract, what sort of people do they want to attract? More yuppies? Question mark. I'm not sure what a yuppie refers to now. I mean, in the 80s, I know what a yuppie stood for, but it was very Del Boyish, wasn't it? But I don't know. I suppose they're talking about people who are of a working age who are more high net worth. Okay, and I'm not talking about the people who are going to move over here and I'll just buy that £1.5 million mansion with cash. But if I think Ann Corlett's point is, and we'll hear from Ann Corlett at some point actually in the programme. But you heard in the news there, if we're attracting 15,000 people or maybe another 5,000 people with families who are going to be on minimum wage, that's not going to benefit us in the way that we're obviously wanting to build our economic fortunes. So do you have opinion on this? 66 13 68. Give me a call. Okay, what kind of people do you think the Isle of Man should be attracting? Let's have a look at some more of your messages in here. It's very quiet today. Les has been on. Thank you, Les, saying, are these people on a different planet? You have let too many wrong people in now. One worker on low pay with 5 dependents. We have not got the infrastructure. How are they going to sort this before they sort anything else? Voting time. Thank you very much for that one, Les. This is possibly the problem that I think he's trying to highlight there, is that surely after we've started attracting people to the Isle of Man and we declared as an administration, they declared that they were wanting to grow the island's population to 100,000 with possibly 5,000 extra workers, then the dependents effectively that come with them. And now we're saying we're not attracting the right people. Is it too late? Are we, horses bolting stable doors, etc.? How are they going to sort this before anything else? Because I think in terms of infrastructure, you seem to see a lot of the comments that we receive at the radio station, a lot of comments you hear anecdotally, a lot of stuff you see on social media. Our infrastructure is crumbling in places. The roads are dreadful. And I don't think that's not my opinion. That's me passing on other people's comments. The roads on the Isle of Man are poor. Okay? I mean, please get in touch and tell me if there are areas on the island where you feel the roads are good. Or areas where you feel that they urgently need addressing. That's just roads. We all know of the ongoing problems with the healthcare system. There is a friend of mine I know who listens to the programme in Germany and constantly tells me about how there's no waiting lists. Whereas for the NHS system here, when was the last time you could see a GP within a day or two, unless it was an emergency? Exactly. So are we at the point of where someone somewhere will eventually have to maybe put their head above the parapet and say, NHS model, free at the point of need, maybe it can no longer work. Maybe it was a good idea, it was a very noble idea, but we can't afford it. And maybe the way that the rest of Europe does it might be the way to go. And we can't afford that as a small island. What do you think? Do you think the time of the NHS has come? I'd be interested in your opinion. 66 13 68. Also, another message in here on WhatsApp. Bus strike. Like they do when selecting the Pope. Lock both sides in a room, and when white smoke comes out, the job is done. I like that idea. Yes, okay. Let's lock them all in a room and wait for the smoke to rise. I think there is an element of this is the problem with negotiation, isn't it? And we've heard the back and forths and offers and the union's perspective. We've also heard the perspective of the bus vanning, effectively the Department of Infrastructure, and there is only a certain amount of money that they've got to play with. And the union was saying that effectively bus drivers were getting offered pay rises, but in exchange for the loss of benefits and conditions and terms. So at some point, someone's got to blink in a negotiation, haven't they? So, locking them in a room. It's almost, if it was in a Hollywood film, you'd say lock them in a room with no toilets. And then at some point, someone will give in just to get out. Thank you very much to Ian, who just says, if people on the island want to change, they need to vote for it. Have a nice day. Well, thank you very much, Ian. Yes, it's a very good point. If you do want to change on the island, you do need to act upon that. We do need to obviously vote for a change, because I think you'd say that if you ever listen on look on social media, or you listen to people and they say, well, they wouldn't do that. There would be rioting in the streets, and you think, actually, we're very mild-mannered, aren't we, here on the Isle of Man? There's very, very little public unrest on the Isle of Man, which I would argue is a good thing. It makes society a very nice place to live and work. There's not constant protests and things like this, but it does also mean that people say, well, we want change and we're not happy with that. But then they kind of sit there and just go, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to put a post on social media. That'll stop them. And, of course, a lot of the time, that really, really doesn't. Right, let's go to the phones, because it's been quiet. You've had enough of listening to me for the last few minutes. Do give me a call, 66 13 68. Robert's on. Robert, isn't it a lovely day?
It's not so bad. I've just been out of bed, actually. I've been in bed most of the morning, but I've been all right. How's life?
Oh, well, it always puts a smile on my face when the sun is up, so that's a nice thing. But I'm glad you got up out of bed.
I'll walk out to that, then.
Okay.
I was thinking about just taking it back a few minutes. They were talking about I think I came in and you said, do you think it should go European? And my inkling one was you talking about the NHS or
yes.
Manx Care. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in Southern Ireland, I think it's like it used to be about 25, but it's probably gone up to 50 every time you walk into an A&E. And it's one of the main sticking points that Northern Ireland has got against joining Southern Ireland, is that the fact that the healthcare in Southern Ireland isn't actually free at the point of, all of it, service, care, trust, operation. So, it's one of the sticking points. I think it's a good idea, but I wouldn't go down the point of trying to define what free as in a service was or anything like that. I think it's just a given. It's just understood that that's the way it operates. But in terms of like going back to the way that Southern Ireland do it, losing it too much, I think that it's unfortunate they have to pay for it.
Well, I suppose we're all having to pay for it through taxes, but I think the point is that you can only get the healthcare that you can afford, and with the price of it now, it seems that where there is the system that isn't NHS, which of course it's similar to what the UK had before the Second World War when the NHS was brought in, where it's paid for. It works at the moment. We can't seem to be cutting down waiting lists. We can't get GP appointments. We can't seem to actually offer the service. So the question is, how do we pay for it?
Right, mate. Well, I think what you're saying is when I can't remember his name now. He's a very old chap who used to be in Hillary, Mr. Ben, that's his name is, and he used to bring out that little document, didn't he? And he used to say, except for specialty services, it's free at the point of care.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about is expanding those specialty services, aren't you? So it could be, the scope of it.
Yes. Well, I'm not. I'm not proposing anything, but I'm saying that yes.
No, but that's the way it could go.
Yeah. What would you if you felt if the government suddenly turned around tomorrow and came up with this radical plan that basically, if you went to A&E for emergency treatment, that was free, but everything else you'd have to have health insurance for, and whilst you'd have to pay for your health insurance, we would be cutting taxes because the NHS would no longer cost us as much money. Would you be in favour of that, or do you think that we should just pay the price whatever?
I'd say it'd be a wise move to not have free at the point of care for certain things. To be honest with you, mate, I was up at 4 o'clock this morning and I was watching the NSBC or NBC News over across in America, and they have to pay for all of their healthcare. And I just looked at the culture and just thought, it's dead. Bitcoin has wiped it out. There's no real. I think there's a film coming out recently. Everyone's lying to you in order to make money or something like that. And I was just like, it's all just talk. No one's actually doing anything. And it's the same with healthcare. At one point, it used to be, fabulous angel nurses that used to help you and stuff like that. And now I think it's a bit more. I don't know how the culture's changed. It's hard to describe, isn't it? But I think we've lost a point of connect with each other.
Well, you know what they say. What was it? Money is the root of all evil, Robert. That was the phrase, wasn't it?
It could do.
Yep.
But I'm happy as I am.
Yeah. Oh, well,
I don't need a lot of money.
Okay, Robert. Well, I'll tell you what. To put a smile on your face, it's been great chatting to you. Go outside and look at that sunshine while it's still there, because it's nice. It's actually here.
Get out. You're right. Yeah, I've been stuck inside too much. Have a good day.
You
Bye.
too. Take care. Bye. Lovely to talk to Robert there. Hope he goes out and gets some vitamin D and puts a smile on his face. I mean, the discussion that I wasn't going to talk about the NHS generally today, but it is a point that the NHS is a fantastic, noble endeavour, and the people who work in it work extremely hard. The question is that is it a system that we can continue to maintain? I'm asking the question. I don't have an opinion either way. But it's obviously something that, if you look at all the people who are trying to get to the United Kingdom through France and Germany and things like this, is the NHS one of the fact that you can get free healthcare for pretty much any condition, is that something that is so attractive that we are just unable to pay properly for that aspiration? It's so expensive if we actually wanted GP appointments to happen within 24 hours, or your waiting lists for operations and seeing consultants within a couple of weeks. Or do you think that actually we should shove up taxes and afford to pay it? Right, let's have a look at some of your messages coming in, because it's very quiet on the phones today. I must have scared you all off. Either that or David Quirk's on holiday. How stupid can our government get, says Roy B. Ooh, all right, Roy. They flood the place with low-wage earners, then realise it costs money. I'm sick and tired of the government. Out, out, out. Okay, thank you very much for that, Roy. Well, once again, if you're unhappy with them, September is coming. And when your MHKs bang on your door, tell them the reasons that you are unhappy with whatever actions have been taking place in the last 5 years. But there is an element from this story today that we might not be targeting the right people. And we've realised now, maybe a little too late. So I can see your point there, Roy. Phil, who's out west. Hello, out west, Phil. We've never had a female chief minister. Why is that? Maybe a change would sort this island out. I don't know. There are. It's quite now a well-balanced Tynwald, and we were talking about that over International Women's Day last weekend. I suppose it's someone putting their name forward in the hat to be voted as chief minister after the next election. Okay, I know full well that there are people have commented over the years who they thought would make a good chief minister, a good female chief minister. You do hear people talking that maybe Jane Poole Wilson, who's the current Home Affairs Minister, would make a good chief minister. In the past, we had Anne Crane, MHK, and she was the Treasury Minister. But no, Phil, we will see after the next election. And thank you to Dave, who says, one thing we don't want more is managers coming into the civil service and government. The headcount in the civil service should be reduced by 30%, and those people trained or trained to take up the available jobs. We just need a leader to face the obvious, which people cleverer than I have already told them in expensive reports. This is dragging us towards bankruptcy. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, I think that falls into the category of, lots of... what's it? Many chiefs, not so many Indians, I think is the old-fashioned phrase, or something like that. Anyway, but I can see your point. You see, I mentioned I thought he'd gone on holiday, but no, he's here. Hello, David.
Alex Brindley. How are you, mate?
I'm not so bad, fella. How are you?
As long as I'm not on line 2, because that's the line they cut me off on.
No, you're definitely on line 1 today, so you're safe. Go on, mate.
Great. I'm straight through then. Just to tell you, give you a little insight, is that my battery for my PV panels is 88%. And I'm producing 3.5 kilowatts.
Do you know what? I've hardly been sleeping at night on the last couple of days, and you haven't kept me up to date on that. So today, with the sunshine, I'm glad that you've got some electricity coming in.
it's coming in all the time. And that's the point I made with Andy some weeks ago there, is regarding some of the major buildings we've got which are government-owned, which they don't have PV panels on or anything green at all. Because you look at the schools, they're going to be off in a few months' time, aren't they?
Yep.
So all that session back to September again, if you have, even I've got 12 panels on my roof, so even if you have a small amount of panels on the roof, can you imagine how much power that would produce and going back to the grid, especially now when the price of oil and gas is going to go up, whether we like it or not.
What do you think the reason is for this, Dave? Because Manx Radio, we've had solar panels put on our roof here. We don't have batteries because, quite frankly, we use so much electricity in transmitters and everything else that there was no way we'd ever have any spare. But we produce a substantial amount here. Away from my other guys at Groundle Railway, we're using solar power there
On the roof.
Yeah, on the roof. So the question is, why aren't they doing this? You've been in Tynwald, you've been in MHK, you've been in government. Why do you think we aren't doing this and pushing forward? Because it almost seems like a no-brainer.
It is. It's definitely a no-brainer. But the problem we got is, and I'm going to be quite critical of some of the MHKs, I won't mention them anyway, is at least 8 of them are not doing anything at all. Absolutely not doing anything at all. They're getting money for false pretenses, for being in the Keys and then in Tynwald and just being pontificating with questions which are in space or whatever like that.
In just for new readers starting here, David, do you mean effectively like backbenchers who aren't on government departments and things like this?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
My would be, I hope we do have some fresh faces. I'm sure we will have some fresh faces that'll come out and make that little stab into politics. And like I did years ago, I went into the local government in Oaken there and actually wanted to do things and achieve stuff for the community. And that's what the bigger politicians should be doing. Never mind the dog muck and stuff like that at national level. We should be doing something. How are we increasing? And Cole is saying we're not inviting the right people here. Why aren't we doing that? There are several individuals who are high worth net individuals on the island who love the Isle of Man and would love to get involved with all sorts of things to make revenue and employ people. I wish I could name some of them anyway, but I know I'm aware of them and I've bumped into them, and they just love the Isle of Man. The safest place to be. This is the advert for the Isle of Man. Safest place to be. Okay, it costs us a few bob to get off the planes and ferries like that. But how can you quantify safety and security of your kids and grandkids and have a nice quality of life?
And in terms, well, back to the point you made there at the beginning of that, David, about how you'd like to see some new people in there and get things done instead of in your way of saying asking questions about dog muck. Do you feel that the MHKs or some MHKs that are in there at the moment are almost too afraid of rocking the boat or upsetting civil servants or upsetting other people? Because you yourself, full well, it's no big secret that you're in an Oncon commissioner. You can be a controversial character at times, but as you say, you wanted to get in there to do things. Do you feel that people are too afraid of rocking the boat?
Well, I don't think it's rocking the boat, making that leap. I don't know whether the politicians themselves actually talk to one another. When you look at them now, you see the ones who are not ministers anymore or not in departments. What's a politician who we put in nationally not in a department doing the work?
Well, I would argue that they're there, aren't they? If they are in the Parliament as opposed to the government, because we vote people into Parliament. We don't vote them into government. We vote them into Parliament. Yeah. And as a parliamentarian, they're there to hold the executive to account and represent our views. So they do have a job. They do have a role. But the way that the ministerial system works over here, that really the government almost has a block vote to get most things through anyway. So they can only really ask questions, can't they?
Well, no, they can do more than that. But when I was in a department, the DOI, and that's a prime example I want to tell you about. Last Friday, I took a trip of people out who were senior citizens, and we went to Castletown. We went to Tony Brown's. I'll give that plug down there. Their pensioners club down there. Yeah. And it was a great day out till we went to the Ballasalla roundabout. And I said, there must be about a foot wide, deep hole, 6. And I'd encourage people is to get onto 85000 number for the DOI. And when the lady says, what do you want and stuff like that, say to her, is complain about the hole or the bad road or whatever, and actually ask her to send you an email back. Let's do this for the future, because it'll shake them up a bit. When you don't have a record, when I ring up sometimes and I say, well, I complained about this last year, and they say, well, we don't have a record, Mr. Quirk. Well, you should have a record because I complained about it. So every time I come on now to different things, apart from the radio, is I get an acknowledgement receipt that I've reported the hole in Ballasalla, and I'm waiting now for that to be done, because they do say to you, if it's serious, they'll tend to do it within 24 hours. And that hole in the Ballasalla roundabout there needs to be fixed.
You're right on terms of the state of the roads, David. But, I mean, I'll give you the same example. I've been onto that Report a Problem app, and it's something I talk about a lot. The King Edward Road from what used to be the Liverpool Arms, now the Lonnon Arms, pretty much down to the Groudle pub, that section, it's a true third world road. At some point, you're driving on stone. It's an absolute mess. And the number of times I report it, nothing gets done. I get a confirmation email, and I'll report it again. Nothing gets done. There's no plan to actually resurface the road. And whenever the Whitebridge Road is closed, that becomes an arterial route into town. And nothing seems to get done. We don't seem to be bothered about investing in the infrastructure. And if it doesn't get done, there's no accountability for it, is there?
Yeah, we should do. And the major thing you do as well is you're recording something that, if something, God forbid, there was a major accident, something like that, somebody was killed or whatever, the coroner would then examine what's the road, what condition, how many complaints have we had about it, and why didn't the DOI do something about it? And we could hold somebody to account.
You'd like to think, though, that it's great to hold someone to account and have an audit trail, but surely the main aim should be to have a good road, not to have paperwork proved that, after an accident, that someone didn't do something. You'd like to think that if we're forward-thinking, we should be sorting things out to start with, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and Williston, I used to be a Williston lad, so I go to the pasty shop at Williston infrequently. I just shouldn't do it regularly, but I do it frequently. And the Conister Road there must be 30, I think, holes been patched with fresh tarmac, little squares, some about a foot or whatever, and it just looks like a checkerboard. It's just like something you play drafts on. And the senior guys in the DOI should be saying, and it's not their fault at the end of the day. You've got to make sure there's money to fund things. So why are we putting 30 patches in when we could do a strip with the blow-and-ox, the big tarmac machine, and take a strip out and do it? They do it other places.
Do you feel that...
on the other day. So our friends on Manx Radio now, we should make a list up. Let's have the best holes on the Isle of Man, and let's get something done about them.
Yeah. I do warn you, David, with some of the sense of humour of some of our listeners, if I ask you to send in the best holes, I have a funny feeling they're going to add another bit of a word before that, and I'm going to get some very dodgy stuff I can't read out on air. Just saying.
At least you can blank them anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Lovely to speak to you, David. Cheers. Take care. Bye. Oh, dear. Yeah, when it comes to the best holes, behave yourselves. I know exactly what you're thinking. Sue is on. Hello, Sue. How are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm fine. Thank you very much. Are you?
Oh, not so bad. Enjoying the fact that it's a bit of more of a sunny day today than it was yesterday.
It's not bad, is it?
No.
Considering what we're going to get tomorrow, it's beautiful.
Shh. That's tomorrow. Let's not look at that bit. Yeah.
Right. The government are saying that they don't know what type of people that they want to attract. So just recently we've had a shortage of doctors, shortage of dentists. Have we not had a shortage of teachers?
I think in the past we have, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just a few off the top of my head without Googling things and all the wonderful things that the internet beholds for us. So there's 3 to start with. If they can't look around them in their own government and think, well, yeah, we've got a shortage of this, a shortage of that, a shortage of that, of services and professions that help this island to run smoothly, then are they wearing blindfolds all the time? Are they that silly? Are they that I want to say stupid, but that's not very flattering. I don't think they are stupid. I just think that sometimes they don't live in the real world. There are many professions on this island where there is a shortage of, and say those three are three generally major ones where there are shortages, and that they are possibly the sort of person that the government needs to attract. But saying that, I haven't met a single person who wants to see, and I'm glad that they're saying they don't want to increase it to 15,000, because I haven't met anybody who wants to increase the population to 100,000.
Do you feel that at the beginning of this administration, when this was all sort of vaunted as the island plan, and the Chief Minister, of course, set this sort of ambitious goal, that really there's an element of... I find this in my everyday job, and especially as I'm getting older and more cynical, is that unless you walked in someone's footsteps, you don't understand, literally some of the pressures and some of the things that they go through. And in terms of if people are sitting in government, in the offices behind the wedding cake there, that horrible 1960s red brick building, and they're discussing, well, we just need more people because the sums are that if someone earns this much, we'll get this much more tax, etc. And then they don't actually have the humility to maybe think, well, actually, in the real world, as you say, the real world, it's not a case of we just need more people who do this. We should actually be going out there and saying, actually, if we're in a school... and the teachers are going to be honest without fear of repercussions and turn around and say, well, actually, what we need is this. In reality, what we need is this. It might not be glamorous what you want to talk about in your politics, but we need this. At the hospital, we need this. We need this. And really, day to day, things would get better, in terms of what David was talking about, in terms of, potholes on the road. We need more contractors or more people on the DOI to be servicing and maintaining and doing preventative maintenance on our roads. And really, we've not looked into that level of detail. It's just been a high-level headline.
Yeah, because, if they did bring in professionals, then the professionals would be earning higher wages, so therefore that would pay more into the tax system. But at the end of the day, this government, until very, very recently, doesn't seem to have listened to anybody at all, does it? So they've just gone along with their little plans, and they brought out these ideas of increasing the population by 15,000. And all along, everybody's been saying, if you're increasing it by 15,000, then you're only probably bringing in so many thousand actual workers, because they will bring their dependents in with them. And if the dependents are children, then they will go to our schools, but that doesn't guarantee that they would stay here. They would probably end up going back across, or to whichever country they've come from, and staying there. So the actual impact on the island wouldn't be that 15,000 as a whole. It would be 15,000 initially, and then as the children grow up and as the elderly pass on, then your population decreases again. And at the moment, there's not enough babies being born to keep the population at the level that it is. So it's one of those where they need to bring in the more professional. If you look at somewhere like Australia, as far as I've heard, I don't know this from personal experience, but as far as I've heard, they have a point system. And if you want to move to Australia and work, then you have to have some sort of trade or profession behind you, and that gets you so many points. And you have to build up so many points to be able to move there.
Yes, in fact, yes, I've just brought it up here. The applicants for Australia, you get points based on age, English ability, education, work experience and skills, and a minimum of 65 points is generally required to be eligible for skilled migration visas. And then you've got the higher scores of which give you a chance of receiving an invitation to apply for visas like the skilled independent visa, the skilled nominated visa, and things like that. So you're right, yes, you have to effectively tick a lot of boxes.
Yeah. So why not incorporate something like that here? Why not say to people, do you have this profession? Do you have enough money to support yourself if there isn't a job initially? Can you do this? Can you do... And then that gets you so many points, and once you reach that point level, then we will, give you a visa to be able to work here.
Do you feel, and a final one for you, Sue, and I appreciate this is a very leading question, so please feel free to throw it out. Do you feel, listening to you there, that the headline of the island plan of getting the population to 100,000 to fund all our services was a big headline at the time that showed that we had some sort of plan, and now there's an election looming, they've gone, oh, this didn't go quite right, and we're trying to distance ourselves?
I think they are trying to distance themselves from it, definitely. I think when they first came into power, shall we say, they went, oh, let's see what we can do that makes the people think that we are really looking at what is good for the island and what will work for the island. And, oh, yes, we'll do this and do that and do that. And it's like you said, for politicians, they just go ahead with it. They don't actually stop and think about it. Somebody throws an idea into the hat, and they go, oh, yes, what can we do with that? And they run with it instead of stepping back and thinking about it for a little while. Let's increase the population by 15,000. But then people like myself, who I enjoy walking through our beautiful countryside up in our hills, and I enjoy the solitude of that. If you increase the population by 15,000, then your chances of being able to walk in the beautiful countryside in solitude with very rarely bumping into other people, the more you increase your population, the less chance you have of that. And the place is going to become crowded and busy, and it's going to lose all that peacefulness with a lot of the population on this island enjoy. We like the fact that there are places where you can go where there is solitude. We enjoy our plantations and the hills and the countryside. We enjoy going to beaches where there aren't hundreds of people sat there, sunbathing all the time. We enjoy just walking along them and bumping into the odd one or two people who are also walking their dogs. If they bring in lots of other people, we're going to lose that. That is a definite.
Okay, Sue, thank you very much for that. I would possibly argue that the idea of sunbathing on beaches is possibly down more to the weather that we get here rather than anything else. But yes.
Yeah, but it was a generalisation.
It was, yes.
Also, just further on from what Quakey says, I've got solar panels, so my brain is always working on solar panels and where you could put them. And I quite often think about Chester Street Car Park.
Yes.
On that top level, because Chester Street Car Park has a height restriction as an entrance anyhow, so there could be no vehicle over a height. So what they could do is build a framework above that height and put solar panels on that total top level, so that it is open. There are no shadows, no trees to shade it or anything like that, and they could put solar panels on all of that top level there and get something. And they could also do things like that in Tesco's car park on Lake Road, because that's quite big, where you've got the walkways.
Yep.
And just put solar panels along that. And I know that I've seen on the internet where countries throughout Europe and I think even China and Japan and places like that, I mean, some of the countries have put them down motorways. Yes, we have not got motorways, but there are many places where you can put solar panels, such as car parks and things like that. So they just need to open their brains and think outside of the box a bit, that's all.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sue. I'll take that as a bumper sticker. Thanks very much for your call. Lovely to speak to you. Take care. Cheers. Bye. It's a very good point. If you go to Disneyland Paris, once again, there are other theme parks, but it's an area I like. They've done that very much so. The entirety of the car park, which is huge, of course, for a massive theme park resort, is covered with solar panels. And to help their green credentials. Thank you very much. David Quirk, if you're listening, you may rest easy. Jason Morehouse has been on. I presume it's MHK. I'm not sure we know many Jason Morehouses. Saying that the pothole at Balfane Roundabout was fixed yesterday morning. Excellent news. There we go. So David can rest easy.
Have you got your Manx Radio Gold open and closed door sign on display? If you put the sign in the entrance of your business, you could win 3 months of free advertising on Manx Radio Gold in 2026. Need a door sign? Email sales@manxradio.com and we'll get one straight to you. And if your door sign is already up, send us a photo and we'll put your business into the prize draw. Manx Radio Gold is the perfect soundtrack for your workplace, with fewer interruptions and only the greatest hits on earth, on your smart speaker and at gold.manxradio.com.
Manx Radio Gold. Cybersecurity is important for any business, no matter what the size. Protecting both you and your clients' data dramatically reduces the risk of a cyber attack. Luckily, it doesn't have to be expensive. At JTG, we're island-based and tailor our approach to cybersecurity on your needs. Protection can be as little as the cost of a coffee a week. Click jtg.im and get your free business health check today. Keep you and your business safe with cybersecurity from JTG.
Mothers get more at the Mannin. On Sunday the 15th of March, the Mannin is hosting a Mother's Day carvery. Treat her to 2 courses just £30 per person or 3 courses £35 per person, plus a little surprise gift included. With a first sitting from midday and second sitting from 2 p.m, be sure to book your table today. Call 602 555 or visit manninhotel.im. The perfect Mother's Day carvery. You really do get more at the Mannin.
Scrap metal coming out of your ears? Then there's only one place to call, Castains Scrap Metal, of course. Castains pay top prices for lead, brass, copper, aluminium and stainless steel, as well as ferrous metals, scrap vehicles, and they're even licensed to scrap lead-acid batteries. Drop it off today, or Castains can come and take it away. Castains Scrap Metal, Foxtel Road, call 801 337.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Beldorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws, to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company. Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Manx Radio's Mannin Line. Alex with you through until 1 o'clock. It's about 1:45 now. It's all getting busy towards the end of it. Let's get through some of your messages quickly. Texter 168 says, I pay yearly travel insurance for multiple trips and it's only about £100. If everyone paid that a year, surely it would help Manx Care and the NHS. Well, we do. It's called national insurance. We all pay it. That's what it's for. Obviously, we're not paying enough. Do you want us to pay more? Gaz says, a few weeks back, Julie Edge MHK obtained data showing how many operations were done at the hospital. I'm surprised listeners haven't picked up on the missed targets, which will likely impact waiting lists. And S has been on saying, I asked Claire Christian MHK, the health minister, what happened to the very extensive questionnaire about making payment for care homes fairer? Yes, I remember this. I actually took part in this. She assured me that she intends to bring it to debate before the next administration, so I hope it happens and doesn't get swept under the carpet again. Yep, that is a big topic, isn't it? As to, let's put it frankly, if you've got the money and you've saved up all your life, you will be paying for your care home fees. If you've got no money, and you might have flitted it all away, or you've left it in a trust to your kids, the government will pay. Is that fair? Well, there was a questionnaire about it and trying to make it fairer, but according to this texter, Claire Christian MHK has committed to bringing it to debate before July, which is when Tynwald is dissolved. And thank you very much to texter 178 who says, put some solar panels on our MHKs. They're not doing much from July to late October. Very good. Eric wants to talk about the medical centre out in Peel. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Alex. How are you?
I'm not so bad, boy. How are you?
I'm fairly good. You were just asking earlier in the programme about when was the last time you saw a GP within a day or so.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the last time we had a problem. My wife rang up yesterday morning and asked to see a GP. 3:30 in the afternoon, the job was done.
Excellent. Wow.
We went to. She was concerned about what the problem was. They fitted her in. We saw a lovely student doctor and a qualified doctor, and they spent a whole hour with Sheila while she was there, and they give her the real works. And I have to say a bouquet to the Peel Medical Centre, because I've had the same when I've had a problem myself. I rung up early in the morning, had got in the same day. So they obviously have a system going there that you can get in to see a doctor.
Brilliant.
So I just thought it was a bit of a bouquet to give to Peel Medical Centre, because we were good at throwing brickbats out now and again. But this time, I can't speak highly enough of them.
It's nice to actually hear some good news, isn't it, Eric? To be honest,
Well, it is.
we're all very quick to criticise, aren't we? So when something goes well, it's nice to hear about it.
It's nice to have a bit of a bouquet now and again, I think,
I agree.
But they spent a whole hour with Sheila yesterday afternoon rather, and hopefully we've sorted the problem out. And I've had the same thing when I needed to see a doctor. I can get in the same day. As long as I ring up early in the morning, I can usually get in the same day to see somebody.
Brilliant.
Not necessarily the same doctor, but nevertheless, you get to see somebody. And every time they're in there, they're very attentive. So a big bouquet to Peel Medical Centre.
Brilliant. Thank you, Eric, and all the best for Sheila. I hope she gets better soon.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Alex.
Take
Bye
care.
for now.
Bye. Well, there we go. Fantastic news. Peel Medical Centre. Not fantastic news that Sheila's under the weather, obviously. Sheila, hope you're getting better soon. Managed to get seen that quickly. So that's brilliant to hear. Let's go back to some of your messages. Alan's been on saying, how much money does the Isle of Man government get from car road tax each year, and why isn't it used to fix potholes? I think we mentioned yesterday, obviously, that it's vehicle tax, not road tax, which is why some people get confused. But we fact-checked this and verified it for you. So the Isle of Man government collects around £14 million a year from vehicle duty, which is often called road tax. However, according to information from the Department of Infrastructure and Manx Radio's reporting, that money is not ring-fenced specifically for roads. It goes into a big pot, of course, the General Revenue Fund. Tim will then decide how much funding the Department of Infrastructure receives for road maintenance, and that's done in the budget each year. So whilst road tax raises significant revenue, or your vehicle duty, pothole repairs and road resurfacing are funded through the Department of Infrastructure's annual budget rather than directly from vehicle duty. And you do have to remember, of course, that annual budget that the DOI gets, a chunk of it is going to have to go on maintaining the TT course, because the race organiser will come along and say, actually, this road needs resurfacing. You have to do it. And it comes out the same pot. So I have sympathy with the DOI on that one, but £14 million a year from vehicle duty there, Alan, and it doesn't necessarily go direct back into the coffers. No, it goes into the government's General Revenue Fund. What else have we got here in terms of... where is the sunniest place on the Isle of Man? I understand it's the Northern Plain. Why not cover the old airfields with solar panel? How much would that provide for the island? Yeah, it's always sunny in Ramsey, you know. Thank you to Texter 404 for that. JK has been said £850,000 waste of time. I'm not sure what the 850k is referring to. Have I missed that? It said, I reported a pothole 3 weeks ago and it hasn't been touched. I phoned again and was told, sorry, we don't have the workforce. That is a point. We have cut down the workforce. If you drive around, like South Quay in Douglas is a prime example. When that was widened as part of the Douglas Outer Link Inner Link roads, there's a plaque there that says it was done by the Lazaire gang. We used to have gangs of workers who maintained our infrastructure. They're gone. After the VAT, bombshell, as it were, we got rid of them. We contract everything out now, so the works are done by different companies, of which we all know the different types of contractors there are out there. Careful what you wish for. What else have we got here? I can tell you that here we go. Texter 566 says that just what percentage of OAPs have been buying properties here recently? I'm sure estate agents mentioned the other day when talking about the increase in population. I don't know actually, but we can look into that. Good afternoon. If the government doesn't know what kind of people to bring to the island, they shouldn't bring anybody over at all until they do know who to bring. And Texter 223 says, when will the Isle of Man experts in locate.im wake up to the fact that thousands of people may be leaving Dubai and the surrounding states? Charge the very rich escapees £1 million to live here. Send them a message going, if you want to get out, the Isle of Man will come and rescue you, but, just put your card in here first before we'll let you go. Finally, let's have a look on this one. Des says, we had a phone call from Liverpool Hospital asking for a blood test. Of course, we can't get the paperwork. We called our local doctor for the paperwork, only to be told that we need to get a letter from Liverpool. We don't have a return phone number, so we called the hospital, who couldn't help unless we called the number they contacted us. Wouldn't you think our local doctor should have the records, as she has the same operation before? I sometimes feel doctors are only good for pushing pills. Thank you, Des, for that one. Well, we've done a bit of facting on this. On the Isle of Man, a blood test normally cannot be done unless there's a formal request from a doctor consultant. According to the Isle of Man government information about the blood clinic service, patients must have a written request form or an authorised test order before the sample can be taken. So if a UK hospital asks for a blood test, the request normally needs to be sent to the GP or Manx Care first. Well, that's flown by. Thank you very much for your company. Thank you for your calls. I'd love to speak to you again tomorrow. Shall we do it again after midday? Okay. Thanks to our producer, Chris Quirk. Have a great afternoon. Ta-da.